Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Podkill Basket here with me, your host David Jones, and today we've got a legend of the Welsh game, still playing today, still coaching today. It's James. James, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me in.
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, I wanted to talk to you for a while. Obviously, your involvement with Archers, but also the Wales national team. It's really interesting to see how you're both playing and coaching. But before we get into that, I've got to talk about last weekend. So the AllStar Game on Sunday and Team USA Select against Wales. Just tell me about how those experiences were.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, the USA Select Games, one of the biggest events of the year for the Wales men, and the support is always just incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to have that in the calendar and know, the Wales basketball community is going to turn out for it and support and make some noise. So, yeah, really grateful to be able to play in front of that crowd. And, yeah, I just love the consistency of that event. I think it's great.
Yeah. I think it's really important that we have these kind of big events in our diary now that we kind of look forward towards, especially here in Cardiff. You kind of know, all right, we're going to have Four Nations in Easter. We're going to have this Team USA game, and I think it builds more of a community. In terms of the fans there on Saturday, it seemed crazy. Is that almost normal now, playing for Wales in front of big crowds?
Yeah, I think when we put a decent event on like that, I think that the support is always there. It's been down in Wiz for quite a few years, and again, always gets a great turnout.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I'd probably speak for the rest of the guys on the team, it's just awesome to play in front of that kind of energy.
I bet.
It was great on Saturday as well. Like, we competed for a long time. Like, maybe we could have got that one, but it was awesome to sort of be there. Go up early. And just get the crowd into it a little bit more. So hopefully they enjoyed it. I think just from the core, it's just awesome to have that energy behind you.
And in terms of the standard of those players, obviously it's something that you played in multiple of these games against USA Select. What was that USA team like to you? Do you think that was a particularly good team? Do you think it was maybe a bit far off what they were a few years ago? Because they've struggled when they've come over here. I think against the Eagles they lost, Leicester Riders they lost. So
I mean, you always get a little bit of a mix. The thing with the USA teams is, or the USA Select team, is they travel around, they kind of build momentum. So they get more and more used to playing with each other. I mean, they're always going to have talented guys. They've always got quick guys. They've always got
athleticism.
Athleticism. They just sort of know how to play the game. So how that team compared to previous years, I think goes up and down a little bit.
Right.
But they've always going to have a strong team, and know what they're doing. So it's always tough out there.
We've seen. It feels like we've seen an awful lot of progression within the Wales team. Was that one that you felt like we can really go and grab this one?
Yeah, I thought we had a great group actually on Saturday night, like a good mix of size and ability, and sort of we had some nice pieces across the board. Yeah. The squad always flexes a little bit depending on what time of year it is, because obviously we have a lot of guys who would maybe make the team that are either in the States, come back to the States, like the Gordos guys, and there's guys like Pounce Karras who's at Loughborough. So there's always a little bit of flex in that national team, depending on availability. Yeah. But no, I think we were really happy with what we went out with on Saturday night, and I think we were actually disappointed not to hold on and get it done.
It was just that fourth quarter, it was, wasn't it? Because you came out and I was like, this is really going to happen. That first few quarters when I was commentating, I started losing my voice by halftime because I was going nuts with Jake Kinder. I mean, I'm not sure if these records exist, but 5 threes in the first quarter, I can't think of another time that's happened that I'm aware of.
No, Jake came out hot and really went off. It was awesome.
It's insane. So then moving on to Sunday, so it's the first Basketball Wales National League All-Star draft. You were the first pick. It's a little bit of history. How does that feel to be the first guy chosen?
It was awesome. Personally, if I was picking, I'd probably pick Nixon. Just saying.
Okay.
I think he can do it all. But no, it was great. It was great fun, and nice to get that little bit of recognition, and just sort of enjoy the day. The completely different sort of approach and style compared to the night before. I think it was a little bit more relaxed.
How is that going from one to the other, one day after another?
It's quite a different mindset, to be fair, to be playing in the BW All-Star Game compared to with the national team. I think there's a little bit less pressure. Personally, I think it's more about enjoying it and nice to play with and against guys that you maybe have seen in the local leagues and in the BWNL for a few years and not ever really interacted with. So it was good to kind of be on the same team as some guys that I've seen around or played against. But definitely different vibe to the night before.
Is that going to be an event that you think we're all going to be looking forward to year after year?
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, credit to the guys behind the Basketball Wales National League, like the job they've done with promoting it.
Massive.
fantastic. They're putting so much in behind the scenes and doing things at a level that I don't think anyone expected them to be doing.
No, not straight away, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that will build momentum and definitely build interest. I'd be surprised. I know they're adding teams.
Going from 8 to 10. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that guys in Wales will be seeing the league and wanting to be a part of it. So you'll probably see, an increase in the quality of players and just more players generally. So I could really see that event, taking off and being a nice part of the Basketball Wales calendar.
Right. So do you think that events like these kind of showcase kind of games, do you think that's the most important thing for drawing in new fans and more people interacting with the league, or do you think it's just the consistency of year after year, game after game of the actual league itself?
That's an interesting question. I think that the way that Basketball Wales National League have gone about it, with being really professional about the promotion of the league, has definitely helped.
Okay.
And it is good to have these things where people can come and see what's going on and actually get involved. So, I'd say like promoting it and having these events in is quite a big part of it.
Right, okay. Now I want to talk just a quick bit about your playing career before where you are now.
Right.
So Brighton Bears, Hemel Storm, Plymouth Marjon, those are the ones I've got written here in my notes. So how do those three compare with where you are now? And out of those three, what was the best experience for you?
Well, I've got to give a shout out to Epsom Rockets, actually,
where
I started.
I have that one, but I didn't say it, I'm sorry.
I can never leave those guys out. They were, I started playing a long time ago in Reigate, and then, Epsom was one of my first kind of solid clubs where I really kind of got into it. So I love that and love playing with those guys. Still see a lot of those guys around, which is awesome.
Oh, really? That's cool.
But yeah, and then just like everyone does, kind of as you get older, you kind of move on and try and play at the next level. So I went down to Brighton Bears, played National League, which was a really good experience for me. Then obviously came to Cardiff Met University, which again got loads of opportunity. We had an awesome team in the first year, went to final eights, really strong group. And then actually for my second and third, and maybe I think through my master's years, a slightly weaker team, which benefited me in many ways because I got more opportunity than maybe I would have got without. Okay. And then did a couple of things after that, and obviously went to Hemel, spent some time in Canada. Like I guess just trying to get as much experience and play as high level as I could.
So a couple of things I've got to pick up there. You just skipped past Canada. What was that like? In terms of facilities, clubs, stuff like that.
So I played out there for about 4 months. It was awesome. It was a completely different experience. It was really hard, to be honest. It was up early in the mornings and getting shouted at a lot, and it was quite intense. So tough when I was out there, but awesome experience, and to have gone aboard and played it, I think I'm really fortunate to have done that. Definitely character building.
Do you think that's something that players should look to do, no matter where they're from? They should look to play abroad.
I think everyone's got to do what's right for them. I think if you get the opportunity, I would definitely try it, because you never know where it might lead or what might come from it. It's not the easiest thing, and depending on we've got guys here now in the Bucks, the Americans, and just sort of adjusting and still sort of getting into it. And it's not the easiest adjustment always, but it's definitely a valuable experience. And you're always learning from different coaches, different players, different styles of play. So I would highly recommend it if it fits for the person. Okay,
I'm gonna go back once more.
Sure.
You were talking about how being in a weaker team slightly, it made it better for you in some ways. I think that's a conversation people have a lot of the time. Would you rather be a young player going into a bad team where maybe you're getting more opportunity, or going into a team that's really successful, maybe you're playing less, but you're getting those good habits, so to speak? What do you think is more important for players? Or what was better for you, maybe, because you played in both?
I wouldn't say the team we had was bad. I think my teammates would be upset with me.
Sorry.
But no, you're absolutely right. There was definitely a difference. We lost a lot of our more experienced players. We were going to my second year, and there was about 4 or 5 of us kind of left over.
That happens.
So I think going to your question, it really depends where you're at development wise. So if you're, in my opinion anyway, I think as long as you're somewhere where you're able to improve, it might not mean that you need a huge role in a team, or maybe it does mean that you need loads of the ball, or maybe you want to play a lot of minutes because you haven't before. I think it really depends on where you're at, but ultimately, you have to try and embrace your role. So sometimes you get lucky and you get to do loads. Sometimes you come off the bench for 3 minutes and take 2 shots. And I think you have to just find that if you're in the right place for you and you're developing, then maybe that's okay. It's probably just a judgment call.
I think decision making is the thing that's the big difference there. Is I think if you're a talented guy left and you're one of the main guys, all of a sudden you've been given the ball a lot. Do you think that added responsibility actually takes away from your decision making? Because when other people are maybe the focus of the offense and you're just filling your role, you know exactly what you've got to do. But when the offense is you, kind of thing, does that make it worse when I've got to do everything? So my decision making is all over the place. It's not specific stuff. It's not organized or structured in the same way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's situational dependent. I've definitely been in situations where I've had to do more, and definitely situations where I've had to do less. I think it's just making the read on what kind of is most beneficial for the group.
Okay.
I wouldn't say one or the other necessarily makes your decision making better or worse. I think repetition and getting a lot of opportunity to make those decisions or have the ball does help.
Right.
But again, it depends what your overall aim is as well. Like, it's all well and good, playing 40 minutes and getting the ball every offense, but maybe you want to play a high level. Maybe you want to go somewhere and get paid. Maybe you could go somewhere and play at a level where you do just do one very simple thing well.
Yeah.
So I guess it also depends a little bit on kind of what your goal is and where you're heading. But I think your decision making is going to need to be good regardless.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'm only asking you that because every time I watch you play, it seems like every time things get a bit scattergun and it's all over the place, you seem to find yourself with the ball slowing things down. And I always think there's decision making happening at a really high level there when it's a bit frantic, it's up and down, it's transition plays, and you just take a breath, you call the instructions out, and you make the play.
Yeah.
I just feel like I've seen you do that a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's because maybe you were on that weaker side and all of a sudden had more responsibility.
Yeah, potentially. I think that's something that probably comes with experience.
Right.
That's something that I speak to the uni guys a lot about. Is like trying to read the tempo of the game a little bit, and what situation are we actually in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not just about that play. It's what's happened the last few possessions, and trying to sort of think where can we maybe maximise our potential. And sometimes the game does need to be slowed down. So I guess that's probably just experience and
right. Maybe that just comes with reps. That makes sense. So this might be a slightly touchy question, but I've got to ask because we see you playing for Wales, we see you playing for the Archers in the BWNL, but we also see you coaching for Bucks and stuff. So I'm just wondering, is that transition from player to coach, is that coming soon? Should we be expecting the end of James Dawe for Wales and the Archers?
No, I'll play forever, I think.
Right, okay. That's good to hear. It's
an interesting question. I think it depends a little bit on, many variables. I had a little bit of a trouble with my foot in January that was sort of ongoing, so I'm trying to kind of get that right. So if my body gives up, then I'll probably pack it in. I think whilst I'm still enjoying it, whilst I feel like I can contribute something, then it's probably fine to carry on. It's difficult sometimes to do the player coach thing. I think that's always a challenge.
Yeah, that must be tough.
Yeah, it's difficult. I have obviously Tom helping me and Stefan helping me kind of from the sidelines, but that's always going to be a difficult balance compared to with the Bucks guys where I can just coach. Okay. So I think there is something quite enjoyable about just having that clean role and just being coach situation or just being player. But yeah, in terms of like the Wales stuff and the BW National League, like whilst I'm enjoying it, I'm still fit and healthy. I think I'll carry on. Specifically this season with the D2 guys, like it might depend on what's best for the group, and there's all sorts of variables. But I know that once you stop playing, you stop for a very long time. So
yeah, that's fair.
While I'm enjoying it, and I've also got guys in the team that I've played with for years. Gareth Williams, Eddie. There's guys that have been around for a long time that I enjoy playing with, and they're my friends. So I think
that's important as well. Yeah.
So I think while I'm fit and healthy, I'll probably carry on, but who knows?
That's a good answer. I wonder, as a player coach, it must be really difficult not to check yourself in all the time. That's the first thing I think of, is that I think when you've seen that in football an awful lot of time, and how difficult is it to take your ego out of it there and be like, let me show you how it's done?
I don't think I'm at any sort of level to have that kind of attitude towards it. Okay. I'm probably, the assistant coaches will say I'm the opposite, and I'm trying to take myself out of the game more. Okay. But I think it's just about getting the balance, and there's probably no right answer there. Yeah. We've got talented guys that know what they're doing, so there's no. I don't feel the need to get in the game all the time. I'm happy to be in the game, contributing where I can.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's a really the rotation, even if you're just coaching, is a really complicated, delicate balance. So it's not easy, and we get it wrong a lot. But I certainly don't feel like I should be jumping in all the time. I don't think I'm anywhere near the level to be impacting it in that way.
That's very humble of you. I'm not sure that's quite true, but sure, I'll go with you. So, yes, I'm just thinking, how difficult is it to be keeping your eye on everyone's minutes, keeping your eye on the matchups, what the coach is doing? So is that just relying on your assistant coaches, like you were saying with Steph and Tom?
Yeah, so Steph and Tom do a lot of the stuff from the sidelines. So, Tom's great at picking out when's a good time for a timeout.
Okay.
Stefan's awesome at keeping a rotation going. So they have roles that obviously help on game day. So it allows me to kind of be more of a captain on game day and just kind of see trends and speak to guys and contribute in that way. But yeah, it's still challenging. There's a lot going on in the game, and a lot of it's subjective. You don't, there's a lot of decision making out there, or choices, or changing tactics that you don't know if it's right or wrong until you get the result. So yeah, I lean on them heavily if I'm in the game, and then obviously when I'm off, it's a little bit easier. I think it's slightly easier playing as a guard and sometimes a point guard. You get to see a little bit more of the floor and control the pace of the play anyway.
Makes sense.
So that helps. But yeah, it's not easy.
No. How is it being a head coach with Stefan Rosier and then being coached by Stefan Rosier in another team?
Because Stefan coaches the BW now. Yeah, it's all good.
That's fine.
There's no. Yeah, no, it's awesome. Me and Steph are really good friends. We see eye to eye on a lot of the basketball stuff.
Right, okay.
So yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, it's actually really nice to just turn up and play.
Okay.
I love it. Yeah, turn up and play. If Steph needs a bit of help, then I'm there. But otherwise,
there's no butting heads.
No, not at all.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really easy and relaxed, and yeah, we enjoyed BWNL last year. We had a great group.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just smooth sailing, really.
Okay, fair enough. Wow, you seem to have a great culture. You're humble. You don't want to check yourself in. So what's going on?
Not that I don't want to check myself in.
No, right. Okay, fair enough. All right. So I want to move on to some big picture stuff. About basketball in Wales. I mean, you hear about it all the time that we're growing the sport here, that we're professionalising everything. I mean, how's that felt for you? Because you've seen it as a coach and a player. Can you feel that things are changing?
Yeah, I definitely feels like there's more people playing basketball.
Right.
I definitely think there's more kids interested. I think the school stuff is growing.
Yeah.
The academy stuff is obviously growing with St David's and CAB both being in the CBL, which is great. I feel like even from university perspective, we get more and more guys at the trials every year. We've got 3 teams now in the Bucks setup, but we're expecting loads more guys at the trials this year. So yeah, I know there's some statistical stuff on the amount of players that are interested in basketball, that are playing basketball in Wales. So you can definitely feel, the numbers are increasing.
Okay. But in terms of facilities and things like that, are we still catching up, would you say? So that's how it feels to me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're really fortunate at Cardiff Met to have the arena, which is a really nice facility, and with the show court, it's awesome.
Amazing.
I know a lot of places obviously don't have that luxury, but there are some good facilities in Wales. Whether we're catching up, I mean, who are we catching up to? I guess some of the powerhouses in England, like Essex and Loughborough.
It's got such a nice court.
Yeah, it's always going to be difficult to kind of get to that level quickly.
Yeah.
But I guess it is growing, and yeah, maybe one day we can kind of get to that level.
Have you felt the standard change at all as a coach and a player, where the opposition, where maybe you went to play Reading 3 years ago, and then you go to play Reading now, and you're like, whoa. Is there any kind of pattern there with playing opposition, whether it's Bucks or NBL or CBL?
It's an interesting question. Hard to quantify. I would say, the standard probably is increasing. I definitely think it's hard to know with the D1 teams because obviously they often have imports. So But yes, I would say it is increasing. I think definitely Division 2 and 3, with it growing across the UK, there's more players playing.
So the gap is maybe smaller between those.
I think maybe, yeah. I mean, BE obviously mess around with their structure a little bit sometimes. So sometimes they have Division 4, sometimes they have. How they tweak the leagues maybe pushes guys up and down a little bit.
Okay.
But I'd say in general, it's probably improving.
If you were to change one thing about the way that we run basketball in Wales, whether it's the league system, whether it's clubs, whether it's facilities, what would be your one tweak? As someone who's experienced it both as a coach and a player, I've got to ask you, because you're seeing it so much and you're thinking about it so much, what would be one thing you'd tweak about the current way we run things and the system works?
It's a really difficult question. I'm not sure if I'm really qualified to pick something out that would massively improve it.
I'm just looking for opinions. It doesn't have to be a big thing.
There's a lot of guys working hard behind the scenes to make basketball good. I think just trying to, I guess, keep staying in contact with each other, trying to work together a little bit better across Wales to make sure guys are in the right places, push guys towards the right teams, and just keep collaborating. I suppose I know that Phil's doing a lot of work with the performance board. Hopefully that'll start to filter down and kind of push for a culture where everyone's sort of working towards the same goal of increasing numbers, increasing the talent levels. But I think that's one thing, and then just continue to have like good competitions and good outlets for the younger players. Making sure they've got access to the right level of competition, the right leagues they can get into, and all that kind of stuff.
That makes sense. Okay, so we'll turn to Archers more specifically. So last year, at least in terms of us on the broadcasting side of things, everyone was just talking about Dan Flatt all year. And now he's over in France, and we wish him all the best of luck, obviously, over there. How big of a loss is that for you guys in Bucks now that you're up in the Prem division? Do you feel like you've replaced his scoring outlets and his defensive?
I don't know if you can replace a Dan F, to be honest. Just really bought into the culture. Just a great guy. Obviously, he's super talented. So we're obviously going to miss Dan. I think there's no two ways about that.
Okay.
That's not to say any reflection on the team we've got this year. It's a completely different group, and we're not looking to replace Dan. We're looking to build something completely new. So we'll miss Dan. There's no doubt about that. I know he had a big impact on the guys as well, and they all enjoyed being around him. So as much as I wish him the best of luck, we'll definitely miss him, and I love playing with him as well in the NBL stuff. So we're happy that he's gone on to something bigger and better. But of course, we love to have him.
Yeah, of course. So in terms of recruitment, it seems as if Archers just constantly get these gems in, then they showcase them, and then they move on to bigger and better pro contracts kind of thing. Is that kind of the point, do you think?
It's definitely, developing players and moving them on is definitely something we want to do.
Right.
Dan, in a sense, sort of blazed the trail a little bit for that. Obviously, we've had British guys go on to great stuff, from the academy as well. Like Lucas and Pete have done the EABL thing. Pounce is now at Loughborough after being in the States and stuff. So that definitely happens. And as I think as a coach and sort of running the program, you don't want to keep people here unless it benefits them and they want to be here. Like it's great for us to push them on. But it's obviously a lot of work to get guys in the first place, to make this stage of their journey good and productive, and then if we can get them onto something better, then that's what we're all about.
Do you think that kind of getting caught up in that thing of someone's gone in, we bring in someone else in, is it difficult to keep that upwards trajectory if you're always kind of filling gaps?
It's a lot of work to keep the upwards trajectory,
right.
And you have to be pretty focused, and there's a lot of people behind the scenes putting in a lot of work. And that's a constant grind that won't stop. If you want to recruit and promote the program, and there's a couple aspects to it. There's speaking to people and actually interacting with the players that are coming in and trying to paint them a picture of what it's like here and is it right for them.
Right.
And then there's obviously the aspect of like maybe the performance side of it and the sort of more promotional side of it is like how are we actually doing at the moment in the leagues. Like is what we're building here and how we're doing, does it look attractive to people to come in and want to buy into?
Right. Okay.
So it's a constant process. Like we've been really fortunate this year. Obviously, we've got some of our returners from last year, great guys. We've had 2 Americans already with us now, and we've got a couple other guys coming in soon. And we've been really fortunate with like a great cohort of young Welsh guys, which is just amazing. Lucas Davis, Reece Cornelius, Pete Walker's in. We've still got Sol Minty Walker.
I love the way Sol plays.
Yeah, I'm probably missing guys. Ravi, Juan. There's a whole group of guys who have played under 19s 4 Nations, who are with us and be with us for 3 years. So it's a really interesting year for us in the sense that we've got a nice hub of like British talent that'll be with us, can play NBL without license restrictions. Yeah, so we can now add to that, and those guys will hopefully develop the culture a little bit themselves and kind of own it a little bit through their time here. So adding in a couple of Americans will become easier because we've already got a real solid core.
I see. So the culture's kind of set, and they're just additive rather than being the key pieces kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. You want that kind of consistency year to year.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, that makes sense. So this year, $4, it's a big step up into the Prem division in terms of the talent of the team. What are your expectations?
I mean, it is a huge step up. Like, we're super excited to be playing against the type of quality that we will be, and I think for the guys it's going to be an awesome experience.
Yeah, of course.
For me, priority one is stay in the Prem. Right. If we can stay up, for me that's another step forward. The guys did a great job getting there last year. Now to cement that, let's try and stay up. The guys would all be mad at me because they want to win games.
Of course.
Every player wants to win the league, right?
Yeah.
But I think as a minimum, like, staying up would be a great goal for us, and then anything after that, like, we'll take as a bonus. That's not to say we're obviously playing to win every game. That goes without saying.
Of course.
But yeah, it's going to be a lot of work. The guys have been in all week since the second. Training twice a day and trying to get it ready. We've got a nice group. But yeah, for sure, it's going to be a challenge.
What about stylistically? Are you looking to play a certain way?
We like to play in a way where we get everyone involved and we try and get the best out of people and have them contribute. We're still kind of figuring out as we go along now, like who can do what and where we might get certain things from. But for us, it's just a very open. We want to move the ball. We want everyone to be able to play their game and just confidently make decisions.
Yeah.
I think you can talk about X's and O's all day, but really, we want the guys to enjoy it, to play hard, to play together, and just feel confident in making decisions and playing to their strengths. I think that's really the key.
That's fair enough. So, if how difficult is it with pre-season and things? Are you forced to play games to see what guys can really do? Like, how much can you do from a training session? How much can you know about a player?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess you can get quite far along within your training sessions, depending on what you're doing. But there is something to be said about putting the jersey on and playing in a real game, and guys do react differently on the game.
And the pressure and the stress of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's definitely helping a lot to have friendlies in. Obviously, the guys played the Raiders last night, which is a decent, strong team. Got some decent vets and some guys that have played a really high level. So yeah, that was an interesting game. Found out a lot about ourselves in that game. And then this weekend coming up, we've got a couple of another friendly against we're going up north. So we're playing Liverpool's D3 team, and I think St Helens as well on Sunday. So a couple of tough games away, which would be a great trip. And I think after those two games, we'll kind of know where we're at.
How much does travel impact games like that? Because is that a coach ride, I would imagine, up to Liverpool?
Yeah. So we'll be staying over this weekend. So it'll be quite a nice trip for the guys. Hopefully, to kind of be around each other. But yeah,
morale and stuff, I guess,
travel's always tough though. As soon as you get up to a certain level, if you want to go and play against big teams, you've got to go and find them. So we will be travelling with the D2 a lot this year. A lot of London teams, Southampton, Ipswich, and the same with the Bucks guys. I think UE's our closest one, but again, UEL, Essex.
They're all long drives.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of the beast, really, because if you want to play the highest standard, then there's not that many teams that play it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll leave Archers now. I can already feel the comments coming of people saying that we focus on Archers too much. So, I want to talk about your role at St David's a little bit. I know that you've had it for just about a year now. Is that right?
Yeah. So we're coming into our second season.
Okay. So can you tell me about what exactly you're doing there? I know you're working with the academy. So what does that mean for you? What's your day-to-day kind of there?
Yeah, so St David's has always been pretty basketball focused before I showed up, and the PE staff there have done a great job of kind of building it, and they've had decent teams, and a lot of club players have kind of gone through there previously.
Right.
But it was just an opportunity to kind of flesh it out and do it a bit more seriously.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm in there kind of overseeing it. I've also got Sev, who coaches with the WBL team.
Oh, the system, yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Played semi-pro in Italy and has a S&C background, so just adds a lot of the things that we need. He's also a really defensive mindset, so
okay, that's good.
Which is great because I am not so much.
Right, so that's good to have that
so
balance,
he brings a lot of things that I don't necessarily bring myself, which is an awesome balance. So yeah, we're in there basically. We should have a second team this year. First team did really well last year as we were just kind of building interest. Got a nice group in. Yeah, got a lot of talent there. I think it's going to be good. The college is really supportive. So we get a lot of court time. Got a nice gym there. Girls program's growing as well.
That's good.
So yeah, I mean it's gonna be awesome to be in the CBL again. That's another jump in standard and a lot of travel, but should be good.
So you're seeing kind of a lot of growth from colleges in terms of basketball. You've got CBAC as well as St. David's. Do you think that's important to be getting at kids almost in their early teens as well as when they're 18, 19, 20 going to university?
Yeah, I think more basketball tends to be better for making players good, and yeah, I think the more colleges that could take it seriously, the better. Like, it would be amazing to have not just Cavan St. David's, but can we get maybe a Newport college could be in the CBL, and I know there's a Gloucester college now, which is great, to travel a little bit easier. But why not have more? Maybe I know Bristol got the ABL, but yeah, trying to get more, just not only just in Wales, but also over towards the southwest and get the interest there, just to make the travel and a little bit easier. And if the competition was higher, that would be great. But yeah, for the guys and the players, it's awesome, right? Like, there's a lot of excitement, enjoyment for representing your college. I think the guys are pretty proud to put the jersey on, and they have support from their peer group, and their friends will come and watch the games. So I think for the players, it's just great, and it also keeps that kind of interest in being around college and being around the academic side of it, which is actually probably the most important factor, right? You're keeping guys interested in being at college and enjoying their time there, which feeds into the academic side of it a lot.
Okay, that's important, because I was going to ask how much do these guys still care about turning up to their classes on at 9 a.m. if they've got basketball training at 11 and that's all they're thinking about is that, And so we kind of talk about a lot the change in the youth of basketball, the kind of basketball they watch, the way they consume the sport. And I've had a lot of talks with people like Jessica Ross recently and Tim Lewis, who are saying that when they see young kids come and play, all they want to do is do step back threes. They want to throw alley-oops, but no one knows how to run even a layup line. Is that something you're seeing over at St. David's?
Not in main study sessions.
Okay,
I know exactly what you mean, and I think there was a big difference to back in the day. You'd have to get up at 2 a.m. to watch a full game. I think watching a full game is very different to scrolling through Instagram and seeing
a TikTok highlight. And it's just like.
And I think there is probably a gap sometimes in understanding what it takes to get to a level where you can perform those skills to any kind of relevant level where they're actually useful. Because ultimately you can throw it at the hoop any way you want, but to actually shoot consistently or to do something consistently takes a lot of work and effort. So I think there is a challenge there in kind of just making people aware of that. Okay. I guess once the guys have played enough, the smart ones sort of pick it up fairly soon.
So is it the games that actually tell them, all right, if I'm doing this, it's probably like 5% of the time I'm putting it off. Is that the best way for them to learn that?
Yeah, and I think just exposure to sensible people or teams where they know what they're doing, and what they can actually hone in on something that's going to make them better and make them consistent and hopefully lead them on to playing at a high level. Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with some crazy skills and having fun playing 3v3 in the park if that's where they want to be. But I think you're right, and I'm not surprised that you've had conversations where there is a concern about how things are being consumed and how that might affect the game a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's a major thing, because I think social media is a big part of why basketball's kind of exploding around the world. And I wonder if, as these kids mature and become the young adults that we're seeing representing clubs and nations, if the kind of basketball that, I want to say real basketball fans, but people who like the game in its essence, I wonder if we're going to see that kind of go, the kind of pure point guard and big link up that we saw you and play yesterday doing that all the time. It's just a good screen and roll and good chemistry, good timing, but everything's looking like it's going to go for, it's got to be the flashy pass. It's got to be, I'm looking to score so that I can celebrate in front of a camera. You know what I mean? And it scares me as a basketball fan, that's all. And I don't know how I feel about it. I'm worried and hopeful about the future of basketball.
Yeah, I mean, the game was always changing, right? So it wasn't that long ago there wasn't a 3-point line. Like, things are always going to change. Now guys are shooting more threes than ever. There's always going to be flex and adaptation and pushing the limits of what people can do. And a lot more of the bigger guys are so much more skillful than they were before. Absolutely. So it's always going to flex and change and adapt. I just think, when you start out playing, obviously you need to have at least a solid fundamental kind of basis to be competent. And I think that's where the coaches and the clubs and the sensible people come in and help out and improve the kids, I guess.
Okay. So having been at Archers and St. David's, and it seems like all you do every day is basketball, how can some clubs, organisations, associations, whatever they might be, look at Archers, whatever it is, Wales, BWNL, and take things to improve themselves? What can people take from these things that you've been a part of that are so successful to improve themselves?
Again, I don't know if I'm qualified to be telling
people. Come on, James, give me something.
I'll have a stab at it. I think the biggest thing for me is you've got to try and get people in place that are reliable and that want to be there and want to do it. So I think if you're a smaller club or even a bigger club or whatever, I think getting good people who want to commit and can own parts of the process, I think that is the way to go. That will take the pressure off you in whatever aspects that might be. It might be someone sorting out kit, it might be someone speaking to parents more, it might be I think getting as many people and solid people on board is probably the start for me to running a successful kind of program.
So you're telling me there's no secret sauce? All I'm imagining is there's one little secret that nobody else knows. And that's why people love and hate the Archers, is because there's one little secret behind the scenes that I'm not aware of, but they all know.
I don't know. I think my approach is just think about players coming and going and different bits and pieces. Just try to be honest with people and be reasonable and be objective. And over the long term, you hope that kind of builds something good. But I don't know if it's a secret recipe or not.
Oh, fair enough. Well, we've started doing this new thing over the past few episodes where we talk just a little bit of NBA stuff, and I think I'm right in saying that out of the NBA, the Spurs would be the one team that you'd say were your favourite.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit old school. I don't follow loads of NBA. I'm so busy with basketball day that I tend not to watch loads. But I was a big fan of the Spurs when they had Tim Duncan and Ginobili.
You can kind of see that in your game, and you can kind of see that. But so we're not going to go crazy in depth because I know about how busy you are. So I can't imagine you staying up till 3 a.m. like the loser that I've been in the past 8 years. But is the NBA still kind of that gold standard, do you think, for players playing basketball? Do people still need to look to that, or do you think that Europe is at such a high level anyway now? People should be kind of deferred.
I think both are pretty exciting. I think it's kind of completely different styles, isn't it? And the States always has that slightly more athletic kind of a vibe to it, where it's a bit more isolation, a lot of dunks. They've got certain rules to allow for that. Defense 3 seconds, that kind of stuff. I personally think that the European stuff is a bit more relatable.
Okay.
I think in terms of like coaching, it's great to watch a bit more of the European stuff.
Do you watch any of the FIBA World Cup just now?
So yeah, I've seen bits and pieces. I was lucky enough to get out to Lithuania early in the year and watch some of the under-19 stuff, and just watching how just how they move and how they play. I think it maybe suits the style of play and the guys we have a little bit more than the NBA. But I think there's probably a place to enjoy both.
Do you think that Wales should be looking to countries such as Lithuania in terms of, when you look at population, it's not that far off, these kind of teams, and Serbia and whatnot seem to always do so well in these tournaments, but GB, Wales, we can't seem to quite get there. Yeah,
population is one thing, but culture is hugely important. So if you go to Lithuania and start speaking to people, they're all into basketball. They all know basketball.
Right.
In the same way that Welsh people would know rugby.
Yeah.
So I think there's a huge, their parents have played, their grandparents have played. So there's a completely different culture and starting point.
Interesting.
And I think that's probably why it's so popular there, and they'll continue to do well at the major competitions. Whereas our interests as a nation lie in slightly different things.
Football,
and basketball's obviously growing, but it's not going to get to the level of rugby at any point soon. So yeah, we could probably do with stealing a few of the bigger guys from rugby for the Welsh national team. But I think the culture is a huge factor when looking to compare to other countries.
No. Well, fair enough. Well, thank you, James. Honestly, that's all my questions done. You've been fantastic. Thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. We'll have you a new podcast within the next 2 weeks. And I hope you enjoyed this one with a legend, both coaching and playing. So hopefully you got some insights from it. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.